Yeah.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Mickey. This is not to broadcast sound to you, in case you're wondering why there's no sound. This is actually because this is our microphone feed into the Hangout, so people that are watching the Hangout, which is what we're broadcasting our presentation on, they can hear us, because there's no microphone that we're not laved up. So this is for our audience that is on a Hangout. Right now we invited the 50 people that aren't here in person that registered to come to the event. They're watching it online. And so we wanted to show you that technology, and later on, in a couple minutes, we'll have an opportunity for the canoes to call in that way, because that's the technology we're going to use to support the canoe to classroom and classroom to classroom interactions for the voyage. So just to let you know, that's why there's that little live button. It's because right now we are broadcasting, and that's going to be the technology that we use to sort of support the collaboration, the video feed collaboration. And we have information on that on the website. So I'm going to let Jenna start. I'm Mickey. You got emails from Jenna and myself about coming to this session and some follow-up emails from us. And I'm going to let Jenna do most of the talking. And I'm going to be her click next girl over there. And, and everything will be fine. And I will try not to kill myself on this.
Thank you, Mickey. Okay, aloha you guys. Thank you for sticking around if you're here in the morning, and thank you for coming if you just showed up. I know a lot of you are teachers and you just probably skipped out of school early or rushed down here. And aloha to everyone who is on the neighbor islands and on the mainland listening in. This will be recorded as a YouTube link, so if anyone missed it or wants to watch it later, please do so, and we'll do our best to share the most current information with you as possible. So we're going to save questions for when the Hangout is POW, so that we can make sure this archive can be used again and again and again. My name is Jenna, and I'm with Polynesian Voyaging Society on the education team, and that was Miki Tomita, who is going to really be like, she's the engineer behind the whole technology, Google, everything, and so she's really the mastermind behind the Learning Center portal and the technological ways you can get involved with the voyage. And then Kaiulani Murphy is right around the corner. Can you come to the camera? Sorry. This is Kaiulani Murphy, just for everyone on the Hangout they're watching as well. This is Kaiulani Murphy from Polynesian Voyaging Society. And between Kaiulani, myself, and Mickey, we represent Polynesian Voyaging Society's education programs. So we're helping to design how you guys can get involved. Thanks, Mickey. And then we also have formed a team, the Learning Center team, with our major education partners in Hawaii, including the Department of Education. So Manuai Peters is here, and you want to stand up? Thank you, Manuai. And is Marlene not here? Okay, Marlene is here. Marlene Zoig. And Marlene is a project lead, and Manuai is the amazing, he calls himself the Malama Honua project coordinator, resource teacher, and they have others on their team that are going to be helping the Department of Education truly plug into the voyage. We have Randy Fong from Kamehameha Schools. Thank you for coming. And Mark Ellis back there. And they are helping Kamehameha Schools as an institution and the community partners plug into the voyage. We have Tara O'Neill from the College of Education, Linda Fruto, who just stepped out, Patricia Halagal. They're working with our university partners for the whole university system as a whole to come together. And so that's a huge task, so thank you. And we have Punahou School, we have Kylie Marr and Malia Ane and Gail Peterson. Punahou School is really helping us look at what it looks like when a whole school adopts the voyage with leadership on board, with teachers excited, and with educator resource people that can truly help. So our goal today is to show you that it's not just PBS that's going to lead this voyage, it's our whole community and our whole education community.
So just to add on to that, we have, you know, our goal is really, like Jenna said, public, private, charter, informal, formal education, after-school education, educators at heart, for everybody to know that this voyage is for education and it's for them, and that we all can join the voyage in any way that we can imagine. And then we have these people that are core to steering the vision for the Learning Center, which is our education portal for the voyage, to help us kind of remain true to all of the stakeholders and the participants and partners that we have, but also to maximize our chances for success, to help bring the voyage to all of the children of Hawaii and beyond. Thank you.
And then we'll go into the hangout after. Okay, awesome. So it's a really exciting day because you're going to see our first live hangout with Hikianalia, who's right outside. And you're going to get to see what it looks like when we're deep sea and in every international port. And those will be just like this Hangout On Air. They'll be archived as a YouTube link. So if you're in a different time zone or you didn't miss it, you missed it that day, you can go through all the different virtual field trips, we're calling them, of where the canoes were, what the questions were, and what the interactions looked like. But to begin, if you can go for it, the idea that we are all coming together around is that this voyage is a moonshot. And that term comes from Google actually made the term the moonshot and said that what if you could go to the moon, that idea, but they didn't know how, but they thought they would try it anyway. They saw the Polynesian Voyagers as the original moonshot. They even said that in their video, that they decided to head east, not knowing where they would find, but they had the integrity to do so, and the knowledge and the wherewithal. And so when we look at this voyage, it seems like a really impossible task to sail around the world. It's a 5-year journey, about 315 crew members on board, but thousands and thousands, if not millions of people along the journey. It's dangerous, it's risky, but it's worth it. And the reason why it's worth it is because of the vision that was set forth by this man, Lieutenant Colonel Lacey Veach, who many of you have probably heard or met throughout the years from here, second astronaut in space from Hawaii. And next slide. He saw the island Earth from space. And this shot was taken by Bill Ankers in 1968, the first Earthrise. And when we think about the Worldwide Voyage and we think about life on a canoe, and living well on a canoe is just like living well on an island, and that Earth is an island. That's kind of the metaphor we're using for this whole voyage. And it needs to be cared for because it's the only island we have. And this is a picture that was taken in his mission when he kind of floated to the window and saw the islands of Hawaii in the Space Shuttle Dawn. And he told Nainoa and Nainoa's father later, that's it. Hawaii can be the laboratory for living well on islands. And if we can learn how to do that in peace and harmony, that can be our gift back to island Earth. So that idea was stemmed in 1992 to take Hokulea around the world. But it wasn't until she went throughout the South Pacific and up to Micronesia and Japan that our leadership truly thought this would be possible, and it was the time to do it. So for 6 years now, we've been really trying to figure out what it means for Hokulea and Hikianalia now to go around the world. How can we impact positively our children, our communities, our kupuna, and tell the stories of hope. It's going to be a very hopeful voyage because we know that there's a lot of issues that our planet is facing, but each and every person can find a solution. So that's what this voyage is about. This is the current sail plan. It's total 5-year journey. But the goal is that today, it's just the start. It's the start to bring people together to start having conversations. And you can see every single year has a color. So the first year in 2013, before going around the world, we decided what better place to start the voyage than right here at home. So we sailed for 5 months, and we went to 40 communities, and we connected with about 21,000 children and community members personally, face-to-face, to make sure that they felt the voyage and we knew what it meant to them. So now we feel really confident that we didn't reach everyone yet, but we truly were able to interact with our communities and bring them with us. We hope that you'll do the same thing as we're going around the world. You'll continue that movement in your home. We have 2 va'a that are going to go around the world, and actually many other va'a throughout Hawaii and the South Pacific. But the 2 that you see outside, you're going to see on the hangout is Hokulea and Hikianalia. And many of you might not have seen Hikianalia before. She was born in 2012. And as you can see, she's solar powered with electric engines. So an amazing man, Dieter Pullman, built actually 7 of these vaca who sailed around the South Pacific. And we asked him, what if we created an escort vessel, a safety vessel, that lived by our values, that wasn't run off of diesel, that was solar powered and wind powered. Imagine the lessons our kids could learn from watching Hikianalia sail throughout the Pacific. So she is truly our communications platform, our science platform, our education platform. And today, when you see the Google Hangout, her technology is making that happen. So you'll see, when you go around the world, you'll see video hangouts from Hokulea, but it'll be Wi-Fi up to Hikianalia and to Hawaii. Oh, okay. What better time to switch than now? We're going to go into our hangout with Hikianalia. And OEV TV are the masterminds behind this project. So they're inside the holly at Hikianalia right now. Okay. This is just a demo. We didn't come up with really intriguing questions. Keone, can you unmute yourself, please? Yeah, please do so. That's why we're practicing it now before we go around the world. But the idea is that now we can bring the world on board with us. Before, when I talked to Nainoa, he said in 1976, the communication they had was a tape recorder on Hokulea. They would drop it in a bucket, float it to the escort boat. The escort boat would play it on the radio back to home. But that wasn't for kids at all. It was just for safety. Then they had PSAT, and they would call into PSAT, and they would have a one-way or two-way communication. And then now they had blogs on the recent voyages. And so this is the latest iteration of how to really connect with voyages deep sea. So, Mickey, how are you guys doing? We'll get there in a second. Okay. And so the idea is that in order to become a school organization, to do a Google Hangout on Air, we're going to show you the different levels of getting involved in the voyage. But for those specific schools or communities to be selected to hang out with the canoes, it means that they've put so much time and heart and energy into truly making positive shifts in their communities that we really want to reward them. And so on this first voyage to Tahiti, our crew members, such as Michelle Kapana-Baird, will be hanging out with her kids at Kaiser High School. Because for her lifetime of teaching, she's been bringing them along with her, bringing voyaging to the classroom and bringing the ocean to them. And so we really want to honor schools, students, teachers, communities that have been doing this.
Really quick, while we're waiting for Keone. One of the things that we wanted to express in this conversation with you all is that the Hangouts on Air are scheduled with, you know, all conditions being ideal, that we will broadcast one a week, if not two a week, and that they will be, you just gave a sniffle. So 2 a week, and that we will connect to these spotlight schools, but also that some of these spotlight schools will actually have large gathering areas for other schools to participate with them. So some schools are making space for schools to come to them if they are a spotlight school. And so in a way it bridges all of our communities and brings people here. We also plan to have this space as one of the participants in all the hangouts. So you're welcome to come down here. And these will be 10-minute conversations that are very targeted with that spotlight school or organization. But you can witness it and just be part of that really awesome occasion. Okay, so they're good? They want to say something inspirational? Okay, let's see. Is he on? Do you want to say something inspirational?
I have nothing inspirational to share other than the technical difficulty it was to pull this off, but as you can see, it works. I won't bore everybody with the details of how we got it all to work, but it's amazing what technology can let us do now to be able to connect and have a conversation like this over a satellite connection in the middle of the Pacific, or anywhere in the world, actually.
So Keone, can you tell us really briefly how similar this is to what will be happening from canoe to classroom during the voyage itself?
This is exactly what it's going to be like. I'm connected right now through the satellite dish on the back of Hikianalia. The only other difference will be we could do it from Hokulea as well on Wi-Fi. So set up on an iPad sitting on the navigator's chair, we could do a hangout.
we're so excited. We're just like, thank you, Keone.
Thank you, Keone. I know it seems like a really
Hey
tiny
guys.
thing right now, but this point where we're at right now today is so big for us because imagine trying to figure out a satellite. Where does it fit? How does it work? But not just FaceTime and Skype is really simple because it's this one-way video chat, but we really want to do Google Hangouts because of millions of people can be watching what you just saw with an 8-second delay. And then it can be archived as a YouTube link. So it becomes resources for anyone. And so that workaround was really complicated, but our amazing tech geniuses figured it out. So now you can kind of see those live interactions at least once a week. When we get into port, we're going to do similar things as well and take virtual field trips wherever we go. So yay, thank you, Keone. Okay. So that is kind of like the really exciting piece to get people intrigued in the voyage, but there's so many other ways to get involved, and that's what we're here to tell you about today. We see the 2 canoes as floating classrooms, which hopefully after today you'll get to take a look and see what we really mean by that. But Hokulea will be as traditional as possible. She'll be navigated in the old way, at least in the Pacific, and then we're going to decide when we go through the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic, what's safe. We're not trying to navigate around the world or prove that we can navigate around the world, but we're really trying to train the next generation of voyagers and navigators to keep the tradition to live on, but to show anyone that they can navigate their own life. And the values of navigation is truly looking to nature for answers. And so that's what Hokulea will resemble. Hikianalia is going to be her sister Va'a, and she'll always be the safety platform. So within a second's notice, if something were to happen, she can turn on her electric engines and come support Hokulea. She's also going to have the science experiments on board, which we'll talk about. OEV TV, just like Bryson right over there, there'll be one OEV TV documenter on board Hokulea and one on Hikianalia. So you're going to get really quality videos and photos coming off of the canoes almost daily, and we'll switch off between Hoku and Hiki so that you see different perspectives of daily life. And we're going to be going to 26 different countries. We've never left the Pacific before, so this is a huge journey for ourselves, and about 85 different ports. And we've already gone through year 1, which is Hawaii, which I talked about. Okay. The big question we're going to be asking, like I talked about, is how do you malama honua in your own community? And there's 2 different ways we're going to be telling these stories, is from our own learning, what we've learned, how we've created our sail plan, the stories that we think really need to be told, but then from you guys. So we're working on creating platforms that any person, whether you're a 2nd grader or a kupuna or a professor or a teacher, can share what you're doing in your community to create positive change for Island Earth. And those are the stories that are really meaningful, that plug you into the voyage and your students. So I'm going to ask Mickey to come up really quick. We're going to talk about the Learning Center as a living library, and this is really the 3rd canoe. So there's Hokulea and Hikianalia, and this website that we're creating is kind of holding all the pieces together. So just share the idea of it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, as Jenna was saying, you know, this voyage has a lot of components, a lot of moving pieces. We're trying to do a lot of different things. And if you were here in the earlier session, one of the things that we're trying to explain is like, what is the Malama Honua Learning Center? So you can see our kind of byline, our title is the Living Library and Education Resource Center for the Worldwide Voyage. And it exists in a couple of different representations. One is in this room here. You are the living library and education resources for the voyage. So are we all. So are the things that OEV produces that comes off of the canoe. So are our 40 years of voyaging leadership and our kupuna that have helped make that possible. We are all the living library, but our students are too. And so this effort here is to help try to capture that and add to it and share that with the world, and also then allow the world to share with us those stories of hope. And so the Worldwide Voyage Malama Honua Learning Center it takes all of the resources that have been gathered in the past and then the resources that will be gathered from this voyage and puts them into one place, one access point for everyone to get to. And it's part of Hokulea.com, which is the relaunch of our of the PVS website that will happen in 2 weeks. And the Learning Center is a tab in that. So it's not quite a physical location, although there will be workshops such as this that will be held here or in other locations. And it's not quite people, although it will be staffed by Jenna and Kaiulani and myself, along with our other education volunteers and resource people. But really, it's meant to help provide a network and an access point for educators and students and educators at heart to come together to join the voyage and to follow the voyage and to be inspired by the voyage, and then also to inspire each other and to be inspired by students. And that's our big thing. So that's basically, Jenna's showing us the mock-up right now of the new website, and the Learning Center is a tab on that you can access, and then there's a general hokulea.com website as well. Do you want me to talk about the voyage versus and explain a little bit of the charter school in case anybody hears about that? Okay, so just really quick, there's Malama Honua, the voyage of our Tuva Akaulua that Jenna was talking about, Hikianali and Hokulea going around the world. And then there's Malama Honua, the movement that's inspired by those canoes and the things that they will explore and the values of voyaging, and our five sort of categories or themes of culture, leadership, oceans and lands, voyaging, and education. That's CLOVE. So a lot of the things that will be coming off of the canoes in terms of our video feeds, our blogs, will be sort of categorized by those things and referenced that way. And so all of those feeds will then be sort of put and curated and made accessible through the Learning Center, the Malama Honua Learning Center. So there's the 2 canoes going on the voyage around the world, the movement that's inspired by them, and then the way to connect and the resource point for all of those, for all of the things that come off of the voyage and ways that you can join, and that's the Learning Center. And then there's also, some of you may have heard about it because it's opening in the fall, there is a Malama Honua Public Charter School that also goes by the name Malama Honua Learning Center Public Charter School. So there's a little bit of confusion there as to, is that school going to be here, or is that the website? Is the school on the website? It's not. It's in Waimanalo, and PBS is one of the supporting and founding members of it. But it's really meant to say that all schools are joining the voyage, and some schools have been part and partners of the voyage for a really long time. But this school is designed to look at the voyage itself, the values of this voyage, and to cultivate what does it look like when a kindergarten through 12th grade school looks at cultivating the mind of a navigator with the express purpose of Malama Honua. And so it's really kind of focused on a slightly different level than other schools, such as, like, I'm at the University Laboratory School, and we look at things a little bit differently, and we might be only doing projects related to the voyage, or our whole school might adopt the voyage, but it'll look different than a school that's dedicated to the values of this voyage. So, so back to Malama Honua Learning Center. This is the Learning Center tab. And as you can see, we are still developing some of it. So if you go to this now, well, actually you can't go to this now, but if you were to go to it now, some of these things go to nowhere when you click on the links. They're not quite there yet. But these are the things that will come up. So you'll have the latest Google Hangouts that were featured, spotlight sites, which are schools, organizations, and other places that provide inspiration. And then navigating the Learning Center is just how to get around this site. And the promise to children, which we shared today with a lot of the education leadership that was here this morning, is that promise to our children that we dedicate ourselves to the voyage, the values of voyaging, and to helping them become the leaders of a more sustainable and positive future. And so that's really sort of what that is. And then I guess, Jenna, do you want to go through education at sea and import? And I'll just do the clicking. Okay.
Yeah. So this is our best way to kind of bring together all the different ways of what the voyage can promise to you. And I think a lot of teachers are wondering what's going to be available, what are we going to do? So this is in 2 weeks, in May 1st, when we encourage you to look through it and kind of give us feedback and let us know what's missing or what your wish list, because this is just the first stage. But I know a lot of people ask for like videos on life on board. How do you cook? How do you use the bathroom? How do you fish? How do you navigate? So we're trying to pull those requests and work with the OEV-TV on video resources. So we split up the voyage into education at sea and education in port, because those are the two different kind of learning opportunities we see as we go around the world for the next 4 years. So education at sea, the first part, we're getting there. Sorry. All right, there we go. So when you click on education at sea, we didn't want to overwhelm people. We wanted to make really broad categories. So we're working on collecting all the resources we can find about Polynesian non-instrument wayfinding. And right now what we're doing is we're pulling from our archive website with the teachings from Mau, from Nainoa, from Imiloa Bishop Museum, and so forth. And we're going to categorizing it by how we use the star compass, how it works. What are other resources that are out there for you to talk about Polynesian wayfinding? And then OEV TV is creating a really awesome, I think it's like a 15-minute video explaining how navigation even works without compass, GPS, sextant. So that will be the wayfinding tab. And then Science at Sea. Mickey, if you can click on Science at Sea. So we're partnering with the University of Hawaii, with Seymour, SOAS Kiwala Marine Lab, HIMB, CTAR, MIT, and Stanford. And Hanani Kane is a crew member leading these projects. But each project, if you click on one, for example, like the Plankton Research Project, is the criteria was that it can't just be for science sake, to go into a science journal, to go to the top 1% of scientists in the world. It has to go to everyone. And why should we care about plankton? And so every science project has some outreach component of why do we even care about plankton? Why should we care that they produce maybe 50% of the oxygen we breathe, right? And so each project is going to have blogs, they're going to have data coming off, and eventually what you will see is once we gather the data from every leg of the voyage, we're going to be creating Google Maps about them. So students or anyone can pull off this data and use it like citizen science. All right, and the last part about on the canoe is asking the crew a question. So like I said, we're going to be encouraging students mostly, but it can be individual community members to come up with really unique questions to ask the crew. And we encourage them to follow the voyage so that they don't ask the same questions that was asked the last week. So the carrot is that if your question is chosen, the crew members will respond to you via video so that you'll get a personal video response to Mariana Enriquez's 8th grade class in Maui because they asked such an original question and they thought really deeply about it. But FAQs coming soon, we're going to have commonly asked questions like how do you use the bathroom? How do you cook? You know, what do you wear? That kind of stuff so that the kids can kind of think about all those general questions. Okay. When you get into port, we had a great chance last year to practice all the different kinds of things we could do in port, but we kind of broke it down into 3 major projects. So learning journeys have become kind of like service learning projects with storytelling to them. So it's giving back to your community. Our crew members, every time we come into port, we're researching what are the people and the places and the stories that need to be told, that should be interviewed when we come to these places that are doing something to care for their place, for their oceans, for their community, for their forests. And they'll be blogged by crew members and documented by OEV TV. And then we'll be creating maps about every place we go, and you'll be able to read stories, or your students will, and they'll be able to create their own learning journeys. So once they see examples from what the crew is doing, we invite you to create your own learning journey. And Google Earth Maps is helping us create a tool. It's very simple. It's just a form that the kids can create. They say, I'm in Hana. This is my location. I'm in this forest, and this is what we did with our community this week. And this is how we malama honua. And those little dots will start popping up, like you see, with all the different information of where you are in the world and what you're doing to take care of Island Earth. Yeah, so you can just see our crew members, we're training to document. So there will be professional documenters on board, but crew members will see themselves as storytellers and teachers as well. Propagate Peace Project. This is a great way for everyone, not just students, to get involved, to contribute back to the Earth. When we looked at how much carbon would be emitted from this worldwide voyage of flying crew members back and forth for 5 years, Nainoa tasked Mickey's students to come up with an idea. How would we plant 1 million trees? Not just Mickey's school, but everyone around the world. Because when you plant a tree and you think about that tree and you dedicate it to peace, or you dedicate it to caring for your Earth, that consciousness can spread worldwide. So there's a whole project dedicated to caring for Island Earth by planting your native tree or a food source and then documenting it just like we just did in Google Maps, and that will pop up as a map around the world. And the last one is for you guys, for your students, to share a story of their place. What are you in Makiki doing to take care of your ahupua'a? And what's really exciting is schools are coming together with their community organizations for the first time, and they're right down the road from each other. So we don't expect you to start talking to another country right away. We want you to start talking to your neighbor and start seeing how does your community benefit from this voyage because you're inspired to go and talk story with them and say, how can we support our own community? And the idea is that when you share your story, there's just going to be a simple link, and you kind of fill in what are you doing in your neighborhood, who are you, just kind of a simple fillable form. And there's going to be a team back here on land that's going to be looking through these stories every single week. And once we start seeing these stories, our team will bring attention to them, the ones that put a lot of thought and time into them. And they might even get invited to get professionally documented by OEVTV. Or our crew members, if they're here in Hawaii or in the area of the world where we're sailing, might even visit that place. So we encourage you to ask your students and your community members to do this, because it will, no matter what, it will go live if it's positive, and we will go look through all the spam and everything. So it will go on the map. Your story will be shown, but it could even get elevated to you know, the front page or to another story. What Mickey is sharing here is the Google Plus community that we're inviting everyone to join. And this is kind of a way to comment on the different things that have been shared and to say, I just saw your learning journey, that was awesome. I'm going to do that in my neighborhood or on my island. And so Mickey's kind of the curator of this Google Plus community, but this is the way that we're going to have interaction, comment sharing, so that you might be able to get help from someone who just went on Google Plus, and you don't even have to come directly to us. Okay. And then the last section is the resources. Mickey, yeah. So the resources are being pulled together, and they will continue to be pulled together. The idea is that our website will not shut down when the voyage is over. It will continue, and all the resources that have grown will be there. But we broke it into Malama Honua curriculum, which is the most current lessons and curriculum that have been created intentionally for the voyage. Our educators and curriculum writers looked at all the values of the voyage and created lesson plans. Some are standards-based for Hawaii, but some are just ideas and activities, because we realize the rest of the world might not have our same standards. Voyaging curriculum is pulled from all the archives of the past voyaging resources, so we encourage you to help us and let us know what kind of curriculum's out there and programs. And if you click on programs, we're going to start sharing and highlighting the really awesome programs that are out there for you, for educators, for parents. And so just for example, I'm going to ask, is Heather here? Heather, if you go down one more, Mickey, to Ulu Ulu. This is just an example. I asked Heather to come today and share a little bit about the Ulu Ulu archives and websites, because there's something really exciting. So I'm going to turn this over.
I'd like to also introduce Janelle Grante, who's the head archivist. Aloha, everybody. It's great to be here, and it's great to have the opportunity to introduce you to the first moving image archive of Hawaii. And what's so exciting about this is that it is an archive that has preserved our analog history of our community. And we are collecting footage, analog footage. This is old video and films, and putting this on the website for public access, for curriculum and research purposes. We are specifically doing something for the Hokulea, and I think we have the theme page up. Yeah. Oh, wrong page.
That's fine.
Okay, you either way.
So when you link to our page from the resources page, that link takes you directly to a search results page for all of the footage that we have in our collection related to Hokulea. So as early as 1976, if you click on the Al Harrington thumbnail, that was the right in the middle on the second row. This was footage from the return of the first voyage of the Hokulea, just the welcome ceremony as during that return. So that's just an example. But all of the footage that we have in our collections is available through this website. It can be streamed, short clips, and you can contact the archive, contact myself. There's, at the bottom of every page, there's an Ask an Archivist button that will send a message directly to the archive. And if you do that, you can ask to see full-length footage, and we can help you out with that.
Are there other ways material through what you create? Because I noticed on your website you did have the titles, but you didn't necessarily have the videos.
Right. No,
So for example, I'll just give you an example. We're not just uploading the full programs. We're trying to find the unedited footage behind these programs. So Alicia Down Cliff Watson took the 1986 journey. I think it's 86. There are so many. And they kept all the raw footage. So KGMB verbally gifted PVS with the raw footage. The PVS then gave it to Kamehameha Schools for its care, and I believe you have some of it, right, Randy? And some of it is down. At any rate, we're trying to collect all of that and have that. It's been digitized and being digitized, and so the raw footage is going to be uploaded as well at some point, and so it'll be accessible. So I mean, and the raw unedited footage, you know, if you can imagine when you're collecting and collecting and collecting footage, and then you have a 28-minute, you know, there's a lot of outtakes that you could still work with, interviews that have not been completely used. So you can really, you know, as going forward, you can create your e-textbooks, e-curriculum, however you are individually planning. Now, the archive does not own. We're in the business of protecting, conserving, preserving, and making it available. But you'd have to go back to the, and we can help drive that. And also, we are obviously trying to make it so that it makes it easy access for use. So if you wanted it for commercial use or sales use, that's a whole different ball game. But if it's educational use, this is a perfect primary resource for your efforts. Okay, are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's an example of resources that we want you to share. I know Bishop Museum and PVS are in a grant together to create dockside lessons that you actually probably have seen already. But at every port of call, educators statewide have created these cooler sized lessons that we can pull out in port that relate to our values. And they'll be creating a website for that so that you can look at how to build the kit, how to do this with your kids. Aʻo Hawaii is a statewide program as well that's connected with our voyaging community, and they've created their own lessons as well. They built a community, and their task now is to reach out in their island networks. So these are great resources to tap into, and so forth. Okay. And lastly, under the resources tab, if you just go to big resources, just click on resources, Mickey, please. Yep. And you go down below programs. We're going to have a community calendar of upcoming events. So if you're having a workshop, anything related to voyaging, a PD, we know the DOE is going to be hosting PDs. We know there's going to be events, festivals. Anytime you want to share what you're doing on your island or around the world, if you can let education@pvshawaii.org is the general email, or you can just send us a message on the website, and Mickey will be curating that calendar. So that it's a way for Ohana Va'a to share the good things that they're doing. It's not just PVS. And actually, our canoes are going to be gone for 4 years. So we really encourage you to connect with your own voyaging organizations on your island, because a lot of parents and teachers are like, so now how do I get my kids to a canoe tour? But we're going to be gone. But we're like, there are so many different resources actually right in your neighborhood you might not even know about. So if you are a voyaging educator or a voyaging organization or know of one, please let us know the latest so that we can promote what you're doing. And the last is to actually share your own resources. So we've created a very simple form. If you're doing something great that you want to tell educators about, we invite you to share what you're doing just through a fillable form. It could be a video, it could be a PDF, it could be text. And we'll have a team as well going through all the different share your curriculums and uploading the latest. So Mickey will curate that on the Google Plus site and say, this teacher just did this in Colorado and was inspired by Mariana's water quality experiment or whatever. So we really want it to be community source as well.
Can we show the one curriculum?
Sure. So we tried to make it a beautiful, easy way to navigate the resources being shared. So it'll be searched by grades and ages, subjects and themes. If you're not a formal educator, you might still want to look at lessons around climate change. Our partner is PREL, and they're creating climate change education resources for us, and we're going to be sharing that in the future as well. And when you click on one of the lessons, for example, just anywhere, yep, you can go down. It's just going to have a nice image to kind of give you a preview of what that lesson's about. And if you want to dive in deeper, you can click on Learn More. Nikki, can you click on Learn More? And then, so you'll kind of see what the lesson's about, and then you can go deeper and say who it was created by, a brief overview, what are the objectives, if there's a unit map, how you assess that lesson and what materials you need. So it's just a really simple, and you can print it or get the PDF download. So if you share with us your curriculum and you want to take it to this kind of format, we can work with you on that as well. Okay. And then the last section is the get involved. And this is where we want to share the different levels of engagement. So there's kind of 4 levels. And anywhere you're at right now is awesome, because we want everyone to join the voyage and far beyond the voyage, to keep exploring. So the first level is just to explore. It's just to take a look at hokulea.com and the Learning Center starting May 1st and look at what's available for you, and to start sharing with us ideas and feedback, because that will help it grow. The second stage is to just start joining our community. So through Google+, and can you go down a little bit? And signing up through our e-newsletter. So we create just a newsletter of what the latest things are happening with PVS and the voyage. Google+ is like the instantaneous, kind of like Facebook, what's new, how to get involved. And then the next level is to connect with us by all the things we talked about, sharing your story, sharing your learning journey, sharing your curriculum. And that's truly a way for you to be a part of the voyage. And then finally, when you adopt the voyage, is meaning your whole school or organization or even institution-wide or community-wide truly sees that you can adopt the values of the voyage. And when you do that, we're going to be looking at who's doing what. And this is when we start telling the stories. And we talk to OEV TV every week, and we say, you've got to go to Sacred Hearts Lahaina. I had no idea they were doing this, but they're connecting with Mo'okiha, and they're doing a learning journey in their local forest. And we would have never known that if you didn't share with us how you're adopting the voyage. So this is kind of the ultimate level. And from that is a Google Hangouts. You know, once we see that you're really dedicated to these values, we'll invite you, if you have the time and the bandwidth and it all works out. We're also going to be doing Google Hangouts with the local ports we're coming to. So we're going to be doing it with Tahiti on the way to Tahiti. We're going to be doing it with Cook Islands and Samoa. So your kids will start seeing interactions with different kinds of people. So that's just kind of a big overview of the Learning Center portal. And we really want your comments, especially before we depart. And on this first leg, we're going to be working out all the different things that we've developed. And so we'll appreciate your firsthand feedback to make sure this is a really good resource for you guys. And lastly, I just want to leave with the canoes on May 17th. We'll depart from the Marine Education Training Center if the weather is good. And we invite you all to come if you're on Oʻahu. It's from 1 to 5:30 p.m. And it'll be the last chance to kind of give your aloha to the canoes. We won't do canoe tours because the canoes will be kind of protected by them with all their supplies, but it's your chance. You can bring your families, take pictures, and share your aloha. And then if the weather's good, they'll go to Hilo. And then the following week, starting on May 24th, with the first good winds, the canoes will depart for Tahiti. And then the voyage will begin around the world. So that's just the kind of the quick timeline that you can look forward to. Mickey, do you want to say anything else before we close the Hangout? Okay. Like you saw, Mickey, Iolani, and myself on the PVS side will be kind of your interface with PVS for the education program. Education@pvshawaii.org is the general email that we use to kind of answer questions. And we hope that the website will answer a lot of your questions. But feel free to connect with us directly if you want to, or on Google+. You might get your question answered by one of the other Voyagers. And then we'll be kind of sharing with you who the Learning Center team contacts are. For the Department of Education is a big one, for the university, for our other partners, that you can contact directly if you're a DOE teacher and go right to the source, or we'll probably reroute you to that person. So those contacts will be up online soon too. And lastly, I just want to say that the neighbor islands are going to be having summits just like this, because we don't want this voyage to be an Oahu-centric, Oahu-driven voyage. This is just what we do on Oahu because Hokulea and Hikianalei are here. But every single island has their own stories and their own way of interacting with voyaging. And so we'll be announcing that through our Google Plus community. And if you signed up on this Hangout, and you can share with your other schools and educators when the Island Summit's going to be. And it's going to be in May once the website's launched. Okay.
So like Jenna was saying, you know, our focus is on, or one of the focus that we have is making sure that this is not an Oahu-centric education center, that it's for all islands. And so just like we depend on our crew, our voyaging crew, to generate the content that goes on the website, on hokulea.com, we also depend heavily on you as teachers, as students, as educators to generate the content that will feed from the community to show us that the voyage is actually taking hold, that it is building momentum, that communities are behind us. And so every time you do an activity with your students and you can share and post that to us, then our crew members can see that all this stuff that we're doing makes a difference and that students are being inspired by the message of the voyage. And then we can somehow figure out how to get Nainoa to sit in front of a computer and see all that stuff too. Or we can just tell him all about it. And so those are the kinds of things that we're really hoping to see, is that the Google Plus community, because it's moderated but it's not a one-way community, that everybody can put their resources, their comments, talk about things that are happening in their neighborhood. So it's not dependent on one or two people to hold that information or to moderate that information. It can be sort of a free posted community that you can get information from. You can ask a question, like Jenna said. You know, somebody says, "Oh, I just moved to this ahupua'a, and I would like to know if there is someone that in my community that I can look to for mo'olelo that I can integrate into my classroom, into my stories." And someone else can answer that and say, "Yeah, I used to live there," or "Yeah, my auntie lives there, and you should go see them." So it doesn't depend on me, Jani, or Ka'ilani to answer those questions, but that place we constructed so that your community can answer that for you. And that way we know that we are all one community that's working towards one voyage to take our students and our Earth